I'm just going to take a quick minute to kind of show you something. So this is scum, and all the base building guides I see, pretty much everybody, they just talk about airlocks and locking doors and building things out of best materials and I've had a different philosophy with base building pretty much in every game. It's not about how advanced your lock is or at how advanced your walls are or anything like that. It does help. Those things keep honest people honest, all right? But if someone has enough lock picks, if someone has enough explosives, they're going to get in. So what should you do, to layer on with those kind of building philosophies that you're using, okay? Strong walls and stuff can work, but I would not rely on those because it's just a passive defense, okay? And I'm going to kind of show you a little bit. So, have you seen any of my videos that I did before? It's not really exactly the best, I would say, method to build a base, but it is somewhat effective. I like using basic materials. So, for me personally, I like using these standard, just kind of building materials. I'll probably go to maybe tier two walls just because I want the bob wire instead of the spikes on top. I think the bob wire is a little bit more effective after some testing. So, go in here real quick. So, you've probably seen, if you've seen any of my stuff, that for me, passive defense, which is walls, isn't good enough. Okay, you have to have an active defense. And for me, active defense comes in play with things like palisades, booby traps, all of that. Okay, I haven't seen very many people use these palisades or these barricades or the bob wire or anything. They do use landmines, but the thing is that landmines are a single use trick. Okay, they go off one time, they kill somebody, it's done. You can't reuse them. Okay, these you can reuse as much as you want until someone blows them up. So this is the kind of the standard design that I've showed you before. You raise the foundations up off the ground so that people cannot easily place stuff on top of them, and they're going to have to jump and pole vault up. So like any game, animations are a weak point. If you have to come into an animation, that is a very weak spot for you to be in. Uh, for instance, I got attacked yesterday, okay, on this base before I finished putting up this wall here, and I respawned at this bed and got myself a bow. And the dude didn't try to come into the base because he would have had to have vaulted up on top of this platform. And if he does that, he cannot defend himself, and I can shoot him. So there's animations in games that really, really, really screw you over, especially when it comes to fights. And so we raise this up. We put our flag in the dead center. So now the only way people can claim this flag is to come into the center of the base, destroy all the walls around the flag, and then claim the flag. Okay, so it's going to be quite a bit of effort for somebody to come in here and then destroy all the flag area to get to the flag. And what we are doing also is we're putting a chest on either side. That way, whenever they decide to attack one side of this, the likelihood of them finding both chests will be kind of negated. Also, though, we're going to layer this wall pretty thick, and then we will be able to bust out the centerpiece here to get into our flags, and it'll give us access to this chest, which we can store some materials in or somewhere nearby to repair the wall, which we have this small log storage here. And we can put these pretty much all the way across on the outer edge of this if we want to as another layer. But the palisades are going to keep people from being able to jump on top of the platform whenever they do destroy these walls. They also have a secondary function because when you walk on top of the palisade, you can shoot over the wall fairly easily and not have to do any fancy maneuvers to do that. But if you're not careful and you walk on the tip part, it will kill you. So don't do that. All right. So I could layer these walls 2, 3, 4 thick, right? And people are going to figure out ways to break in. So after they break in one or two or three, they're going to be seeing a pattern and they're going to be able to get through your walls much easier, right? So the thing is that you need to make your bases kind of like if you ever played Mario or something, you need like a little bit of challenge in your base. You need to kind of make it a little bit of RNG. They're going to have to try and piece together a puzzle to get inside the base, like a level, right? So if we have those palisades all around this, they're not going to be able to get on that foundation unless they destroy the palisades. Okay. But then we're going to have a gap space like this here. So this is going to be a gap. And then we put another row of foundations and palisades here. So what happens is when they come and attack the base, they're going to blow up the outer wall, see the palisades, and see the foundations. Okay, then they're going to figure out how to deal with those palisades safely, blow them up, and then climb on top of that. And then they're going to realize there's a gap in between that foundation level and this foundation level. And then we're going to fill in the gap barbed wire. Okay, and this and then they are going to have to decide either try to jump or find out a way to explode the barbed wire, or they're going to have to finish blowing up that palisade, which will be like another T4. If they do not have C4, they're not going to be able to get across this gap and into the second layer of wall. Now, on the outer layer of wall, we will have a palisade, or not a palisade, this barricade, wooden barricade flipped in reverse to where the spikes are pointing towards the wall and not away from the wall. This does two things. If the palisade is facing towards the wall, I'll go back inside to kind of show you. So this is going to be outside everything, okay? But it's going to be pointing towards the wall. So you might be thinking, why would you do that? It can't do any damage. The palisade points do damage when you run into them or something very fast. It's not likely they're going to do that on the outside wall. Okay, and they can be jumped over. So unless you have these on a higher elevation than the other guys have, then they're not really going to do much work for you. And if they're low to the ground, they can still be blown up relatively easily. Whereas at least raising the platforms, people have to figure out that they have to jump up, place it, and then try to angle and hit it. And there's a possibility if they do that, they mess up and lose their C4. So I'm not going to say that this is going to stop C4 from going off, but it has the potential to stop a C4 from going off by making them lose it trying to jump it and place it on top of the platform. So you point these on the outside toward your base, and we'll probably have a layer of barbed wire directly in front of it. Um, the thing is that if we do that, the barbed wire in front, people can try to jump over, but it's very likely that they'll nick the barbed wire. It'll bleed them and do like at least 25 HP. If it does any more than that, it'll probably half them or kill them. So they're going to have to figure out if they want to deal with this barbed wire. Then they're going to get through the barbed wire, and then they're going to have a palisade flipped in reverse. Okay, you can walk on top of the palisade, get to the wall, or you're going to put your C4 below the palisade, and you'll probably destroy the wall and that. But the thing is that if they don't know, right, they might try and walk up the palisade to get towards the wall or to like see over it or something. And when they get towards the points, if they're moving too fast, they're going to get halved. They're going to get HP halved and a serious bleed condition. So you have the potential of killing somebody that comes to investigate your wall simply by putting palisades there. And we could put them on foundation, maybe lift it up a little bit. But that's going to be just kind of point shoot right there that you're going to want. Okay, so they get through the first wall layer. So the first wall layer is going to be something like right here. They're going to get through barbed wire, the palisade, the outer wall, the barricades on the foundation. Then they're going to be on top of the foundation and see more barbed wire. Then they're going to have to figure out, they're going to have to blow up this foundation, which is going to take them probably, two more C4. And then they're going to have to blow up this barbed wire, which will probably destroy the outer wall, depending on how fortified you have the outer wall. But wood wall destroy the wood wall, so you're not going to be able to fix that. But as soon as you can get a wall that can withstand maybe one C4 blast, that's going to be one more additional layer that they're going to have to go through each and every time. So now they see the second layer of palisade or second layer of wall, second layer of barricades, and they probably have a good idea of how to get past it the second time around. Um, so at that point, I think 2 layers is about enough. Unless it's super effective, they probably do 3 layers. Um, or you could change it up and try and do some sort of barbed wire situation. But basically, here is going to be the last line of defense, and they're already going to know how to kind of break into it. But you have the potential to kill them on each of those steps if they're not careful, right? So that just handles C4. It doesn't really matter how you make your base. If someone has C4, they're going to be able to break in. Now, I would say is that people may not realize that when you put the C4 underneath the foundation, it doesn't necessarily do damage to the foundation. So you could cost somebody a C4 or something there, but that's just being efficient with explosives, okay? These guys, they're going to have to figure out what to attack. They're going to have to figure out where to attack. If they have enough C4, you can blow up anything that you want, but do you want to waste all your C4 going through a base is the real question. So things like these cabins, these have 3,000 HP, and this is a distraction. But on the outside, it has an airlock. It looks like it's going to be, a fairly decent building. I left the windows open so that people can see and you can shoot. And we're probably going to put another airlock right here to kind of confuse people. So when someone comes up and they want to lockpick this, they're going to see it's a cabin and they're going to see the airlock. They're going to have to lockpick the front door, then lockpick the inner door, then realize that there's no real loot in there. And then if they pick wrong, they could lockpick this side, get to this side, and realize that there's nothing in here either. But you have windows here and here, so it's basically a guard shack. If someone lockpicks this and I happen to be inside that building or have a spawn point in there, I can use it to defend both entry points and to take somebody out. So that's pretty nice. But also, we can get on the roof and do the same sort of deal, which is partly what this is. So, but what you don't know is that although this shack here is a defense point, it is my guardhouse. Okay, I could put one on either side and do something similar to what I'm doing now. You just put a shack on either side, and then I would, if you want to do that, you would turn the cabin to where it's like this, and you put your door here, and you could shoot people through that window and shoot people out the front window. Then you could have a cabin on either side, but you can't change the door location. So if you were to do that, you'd put your door here, entry point here, put the cabin on the side so that you can shoot through the window, kill people messing with your door, and you would have a front area here to shoot out. And that's how you would make basically a frontal cabin area for defense. But this is a decoy, so what it is like, there's nothing in here. It is going to be locked just to kind of keep people out. We're probably going to keep food, some basic stuff in here. But what happens is that you're not going to stop a lockpicker by putting more and more doors. It's an annoyance, but that's just a supply chain issue. If they have enough lockpicks and enough supplies to get through, they're going to get through, especially if you don't have lockpick protection. Okay. And the lock protection things that you can get don't really do a lot of damage, but what does a lot of damage are traps. So Now we come into the game of if a lock picker is trying to get in, okay, you want them to at least have to use some form of explosive, okay, or be able to have the mental IQ to figure out what's going on. So here, fairly simple. You can kind of see that we put this guard tower here. We blocked off the stairs. We have a gap here that allows us to shoot through and kill somebody who's messing with this door. It's basically functioning the same as using that to do the same purpose. And if we ever rebuild another base, we're going to be using the cabin as a guard shack. Okay, so that is going to be a thing that we'll do. It'll still only take a couple C4 to blow up a cabin, but it's good to use these as guard shacks, I think. Now, once we come over here, we see that there's a gap. They can decide to try and destroy the walls to get in here. And then when you're inside of here, you have the option to shoot somebody through here that's trying to lockpick a door so you can sneak through. And you have the option to come through and kill somebody who's messing with the cabin. It's not ideal, but it is a decent way to deal with it. Now, this side, they cannot get inside of that. Okay. We positioned it to where you can't get inside of this. That's why the tower is facing the wrong direction. Um, but they have to figure out like where is your base entrance? There's no doors anywhere on the outside besides this front door and stuff, and it goes to a cabin, and they got to figure out how to go in. We're gonna have a door here, maybe a door here. But if they go in either of these, it doesn't go anywhere. It's gonna be blocked off. Okay. So there's two options here. So now they got a 50-50 shot. And our option is we use the stairs, and you can crawl under stairs depending on their height. It also can be used for motorcycle storage. And you crawl in underneath the guard tower. And then we're going to have pathway to come back here and unlock doors to get in. All right. So that is just a minor thing to kind of show you that there's a 50-50 shot. Now, what happens if they do the other option? Is they can try to jump up here, get in this tower. Okay. Now, what I told you before, there's animations, and animations can screw you over in the game. So they're going to have to use an animation to get onto this. There's possible they can jump over, but if you jump and you hit any of these spikes, you're going to take damage. If you fall down and you hit that spike trap, you're going to take damage. So if you don't see that, you're going to be in trouble. And here is where the benefit comes, because right here, if we upgrade the walls, because we have them facing in, these walls are going to put barbed wire on the inside. So when they jump over this, they're not going to be able to jump and get anywhere because the wall will kill them using the barbed wire edge when they try and get in here. So if they do try and come through this top tower spot, they're going to die. Okay. If they somehow don't, they're going to be able to squeeze through here. And congratulations, they made it to the same spot that the other one would make. All right. But that's just a simple thing. Okay. Now, level 2 walls aren't going to be too difficult. I mean, the scrap metal, the bolts, the barbed wire thing is what's going to take you the most time, and maybe the toolbox. All right. It's not going to be anything major. But once you get past that, I mean, you have a door right here. We're probably going to have one right here that's going to be to unlock. And then we'll probably have a door right here unlock. Probably just a decoy door. I don't really think we would store anything in there, anything useful anyway. It is possible maybe we could use this as like a temporary storage to dump food items or crafting materials that we need, something like that. And then essentially we are going to fortify this, I believe, and then maybe have an entrance that comes through here to get to this door. But none of these, that and this, are not really going to have any loot. There's 2 boxes in there. I mean, that's going to be a lot of effort for 2 boxes. There's going to be some food in this cabin, probably. And then in front of this, we are going to build the bigger cabin, the medium cabin probably, and then later on we'll build the very large cabin maybe if we decide to. Have not really decided on that yet, but because I don't think the large cabin has much benefit besides its elevated ladder that you can climb up. That's about it. Um, but when you look at this, uh, you can jump up here and get onto the roof for now. Okay. This on the roof, you can look over and kill anyone messing in there. So if someone's trying to take your flag, you can use these buildings to defend your flag, which is pretty good. But you notice you can't really have much cover here. I'm pretty sure you can use a dresser or something like that, which actually does help quite a bit. But what I'm going to end up doing is on these buildings, I'm going to end up building these. It is going to be hard to get a log up here, but it is going to be possible. But what I'm thinking is essentially we take these and I'm going to put them like this, where there's one on either side. Because when you come to these, you can walk through them. Also, it's going to kind of give it a roof look, but you can walk through these and they have a camo texture to it. So if you have them layered up here, they're not going to know where you're at. And I don't know if you can see through them technically or not yet, but it's going to be a little, addition to, the life. It's going to, probably look a little bit better, I would assume. But it is possible maybe that if you were to maybe make a compound with a small and a medium and a large cabin, you put them next to each other. So you see this cabin has a ladder on this side. You could layer cabin like that, and it would block off one window. But you see that the window it has the same one in the front and the same one in the side, but no additional windows. And then the large one just has a second floor, but it doesn't have any additional doors. And the only reason I could see to build it is for the elevation of the ladder roof or to trap the second floor with like an explosive to keep people from actually getting a hold of your loot when you get this built. But ideally, I think medium is the best because two locked doors in one cabin, but people can just blow up the cabin. So it's mainly just to stop lock pickers. But if you want to stop a lock picker, you don't give them any locks to pick. That's basically the only thing that lock pickers can do. So I mean, it's not. I wouldn't put my stuff behind door if there's a lock picker. We more or less have to build your base for explosives. And explosives don't care about locks. And explosives don't care about loot areas. How do you beat explosives is you either have something really strong that can completely withstand a sheer amount of them, or you redirect where they're going to use the explosives, which is partly why you build these cabins. Because redirecting these is going to be a lot easier. Bait them into attacking these cabins than it is going, and even the flag. I mean, they could bait in and try to attack the flag, but it's going to take them 24 hours to claim it. So, I mean, up to them. They can waste their time trying to take the flag, but it's going to be a war zone until they take over the base. And then at that point, they're going to have to figure out where you actually stash the boxes. So they're going to have to dismantle the base, you know. So that's just a, you know, little snidbit of information. Wasn't exactly sure how useful all going to be, but I think that building your base to where you don't rely on engineering skill, you don't rely on advanced crafting materials or anything. You need to be able to build up the first base, because like if you build your whole base out of concrete or whatever, it's going to be really strong. It's going to withstand quite a lot of punishment, but it's not going to be easy to repair that, especially if you're a solo player, unless you have quite a lot of resources at hand. Whereas this is made out of wood. Okay. If someone with C4 wants to attack this base, they can. Um, I can rebuild all the wood and stuff in a day or so. I don't know how long it's going to take them to get their C4 in order, but it's not going to be that big of a deal for me to repair this if they actually do attack it. And then they're going to need a decent amount of C4 to get into a couple places when I get the walls built, because each wall section that I have prepared that has a foundation and palisades, and then two walls on either side, is going to take at least 2 to 3 C4 to get through. So it's not going to be the biggest deal for someone to come in here, but you're talking about at least 2 layers. So that's at least 4 C4, and then you're going to have the gap of barbed wire, which is at least going to be a C4, and then they're going to have to destroy the foundation to get to the barbed wire, which is at least going to be 1 to 2 C4. So you're looking on 7, 8 C4 or whatever, and then they blow up one section. I repair it in like a couple of hours, and boom, back to square one. Deal. I really don't think there's anything I can use this gap for. Like, I could store stuff in it. I was gonna put my wheelbarrows in it, but I can't get the wheelbarrow in here because there's no room to get it through. So I don't think that's an option. Put like a spawn point in here, maybe. I mean, that would probably be the only thing I could consider. My spawn point right there would be like one gear, like one loot gear or something, or maybe I don't know, probably just temporary storage. Here's another thing though. Okay, so people like looting loot boxes, and they like looting, unlocking chests and doors. But what I've kind of figured is when I was building this base, I had issues with my wheelbarrows. They kept glitching. So I had to build like 2 or 3 of them. And from what I've seen, people don't really check wheelbarrows. So this one's just been sitting outside over here next to my wall, and I have a decent amount of stuff in there, and it's never really been touched. I've had people shoot me while I'm building, all that, but sometimes, like, just because when people see a wheelbarrow, they think like, oh, it's just a thing to carry wood, but you can use a wheelbarrow for so much more. It's kind of like, technically, so like, look at this. So if you wanted to take the time, you take the wheelbarrow, and then you take your backpack. Second, take your backpack, put it in the wheelbarrow. Okay. Now this backpack has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's probably like an 8x8. And then when you open it, you're getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, something. I mean, you're getting more than an 8x8 space here. So what you can do is take the backpack, put it in the wheelbarrow, fill up the backpack, put it in the wheelbarrow, and then put wherever you want and just load it up. But it will take you a while, okay, to get there. All right, we'll jump in a single player real quick, and I can kind of show you a little bit of what's going on there. Okay, so just give me 1 second here. Because people use vehicles, okay, to store loot, but we know that wheelbarrows and rafts both can store a decent amount of loot, but they're also one of the few things that can store backpacks, which backpacks can store loot. So you can craft backpacks, stick them in a wheelbarrow, and then use that to uh, hmm, interesting. Now, also, when you're pushing a wheelbarrow, it's not going to level your endurance, okay? But you also can't run with a wheelbarrow. So you could, increase your endurance and use that to actually help you use less energy when you're pushing the wheelbarrow. But that is completely up to you. Now, again, if you look at any of our builds, I wouldn't recommend all this, but if you wanted to min max, you could go for medium thievery or max thievery and then just drop your endurance and stuff if you wanted to. But if you want to have like a bunch of your skills really maxed when you first start, um, there are options for that. I will say basically though that 5 strength lets you use the 100-pound bow right off the bat, so you don't need archery skill. But if you were going to do this, you could go brawling melee. But if you have basic rifles, you can craft the rifle scope. So I think basic rifles is good to start the game with, and you can level up survival and engineering and stuff pretty much passively on your own. It just takes a little bit of time. So I'd probably go medical, level my awareness over time. If you go 5 intelligence, I would go basic survival, medium engineering. But you can go medical, level your awareness over time. Uh, you can level your stealth passively with camo, so this isn't the biggest thing, but it does help. But if you want to not waste as much time, you just go thievery. But running and endurance will take quite a while to level. So compared to everything else, I mean, strength takes a while to level, but these skills in here don't take very much to level. But if you want to be able to use the best weapons early, 5 strength is pretty good. But ideally, you do this basic melee, running or endurance, and then you'd have thievery and level your stealth up passively, or you do a 50-50 split because I can unlock advanced locks with medium thievery. So, and then you do medical, and that makes you pretty good. You'd have the power level awareness and all that, but not too bad. All right, so let's get to this test real quick. Apologize for the AI that's going to be talking, but this is going to be pretty important, I think. So with 5 strength, we're going to have a massive amount of to micromanage. So that is a big deal. It's one of the hardest deals with having a big strength character is the constant amount of food that you have to continuously pump into your guy's body, which means that you need a lot of money or a lot of storage space to carry animal parts. So a wheelbarrow does work very well for that. But if you don't start with any engineering, you're not going to have the wheelbarrow at the beginning of the game. You're going to have to power level that, and it's very difficult to power level that while needing food constantly. So looks like there's some sort of field over here. The orchards do have fruit, but they don't really tend to have much. You search them; they're always kind of empty. So we all like hiking backpacks, so we stick that on here, and then we go and do this. 5, 6, 7. All right, so 6 backpacks. Um, you can see this is a 8, 8 by 9, 8 by 9, 8 by 10. We can hold 2 hiking backpacks within our hiking backpack. All right, so then, what kind of item would we get? Like bolts or something? So do like bolts, you have like 50 of them. Okay. So then we come over here, we drop some bags. All right. So that one's at 2 kilograms, and you can see you can't put this in your backpack. Okay. Let me open up this, and you can see we got quite a few backpacks in there. And boop. All right. I'm just gonna spawn something heavy, I guess. So I guess we could do like logs. Let's do logs. Item log 02. 10 of those. And just like dump these logs into here. We can only carry one. So now I have a backpack. Toss it in there, and boom. And we equip. Put in a log. Toss the bag in the wheelbarrow. And equip. Put in a log. Toss the bag in the wheelbarrow. Okay, and equip. Put in a log. Toss the bag in the wheelbarrow. And equip. And put in a log. Boop. Boop. All right. So theoretically, all right, right now they're only about 1,000 grams is what it's saying, but you now have 6 bags and 2 logs in there, and we have a log in here. And walking around, we have this many things. Okay, our calories, it's not super crazy. It's gonna get up there, okay, but now we can push the old wheelbarrow. Right? Now you don't really get any benefit with con doing this. I mean, you do level it up, their constitution. You don't really level up your running or endurance. So that is the effect here. But you do get more stamina, we get more constitution. So that is a benefit. But we also level up our strength. We do level up the dexterity, but the strength is going to be the major one. But you're probably going to have to walk with the wheelbarrow. But the thing is that you can keep walking and it doesn't bother you, and you're carrying a lot more stuff. You can only like you take a wheelbarrow to the scrap yard, load it up with everything you could possibly find, and multiple backpacks worth of gear. Like me with ass character, when I run around, I go and toss in all kinds of stuff, and I carry 2 bags. But this right here, you can see like we're burning just a little bit more, like another 200 calories more than we normally burn when we have our like big strength dude, and we're gonna be able to push a massive, absolute massive amount of stuff in a wheelbarrow. But it will take a while to get where you're going. But if you don't have a vehicle, I mean, this is a way that you can transport goods. So, I mean, that is something to keep in mind. And it's not perfect, but when you leave this somewhere, people generally don't mess much with wheelbarrows. So, I mean, you run into a wheelbarrow into the wild, I mean, you might check it, but I doubt people are going to notice it too much. Maybe a new player would. Like right here, I mean, we're still gaining a decent amount in all three of those stats. You don't gain anything here, but it's doing all right. Get a hefty payday. The main thing to consider here is just that we have 6 hiking backpacks inside of this wheelbarrow. We're multiplying the amount of slots that are available in there, just like Tarkov. And for the sheer, like, so how many were we burning? We're burning 964 calories. All right, let me just walk. Still 964. Okay, now running. Still gaining endurance, which is good. Burning 700, probably going to be to 800 calories. Yeah. So anywhere between 700 and 900 calories just running around like that. So I mean, we're not losing much calorie wise, but it is slower for us to actually, walk than anything else. But when you walk, you should still be able to gain a decent bit of endurance, heavy weight loads on you. So that's also something, I guess. But just walking here, I mean, we're going to be burning, a couple hundred more calories pushing the wheelbarrow, but we gain a lot more storage space. It just depends on how many times you want to go. It is possible that running, because like we're walking, we are walking at a fourth of the speed, something like that, of what we would be. So now you got to think, if it's going to take you 4 times as long to get somewhere, so probably, so basically your overall trip is going to be about 8 times longer, but you get a lot more storage space out of it if it's worth it or not. That's just a big debate. That's something you got to decide. If you're loading up on scrap metal or something, I mean, you could load with a crap ton of scrap metal and not have to sprint back and forth, but that is up to you. I forgot to take engineering skill. I was going to show you uh, my thoughts when it comes to the basic cabin and stuff. So we might just go ahead and do that real quick. Or make another character and kind of show. Let's do this, and we need engineering. Okay. Kind of show you what I think the use of the small cabin and stuff should be. I don't think the small cabin should be like something that you want to defend. Mm, personally, I don't. I don't even know if it's worth it to put like a lock on it. Like maybe you put like a gun rack in there and some ammo, and then you put a lock on the door just to keep people from messing with it. But I am curious about what's over there because I haven't got to check out the thing yet. I'm thinking about building a raft and sailing up here to check out what kind of loot this place has. So I go ahead and check that out while we're here. All right, but just kind of show you what I think. Of course, it'd be just a tad too tall. So here, I'm just go down. Let's just go down to. I wish toolboxes weren't a thing in this game. Oh, just let's just go down 3. Okay. Also liked raised foundations because apparently you can shoot underneath them and you can't crawl under them. That's interesting. So, all right. So what do you do here? What do you do? If we do for a second here, we need basic cabin. Essentially, you do something kind of like this. You could even do this on the base level. You don't have to have it elevated. That's odd and good to know. But you don't need it to be elevated. But this is the first thing that you get access to in the game. So I think what you do is don't necessarily use it. Like, you can use it as a base, but I think what you do is you use it as a defense. So you can shoot through the gaps in here and here. So I think you use it as a tower for the most part. Or at least that's how I would use it. Put a lock on it, whatever you want, but it's not a building that you're going to use for defense, or you're going to use it for loot storage. I think it's for defense. Okay, so you can see there's nothing that you can use on the back side of it or here, but you can climb up it to get to a second level. So you have two options when you use this as a defense. You can use it for shooting right here through the windows, and you can use it on the roof to come up atop, which gives it a lot of variety compared to other things. And you can place some stuff on the roof to help, maybe, but I don't know how useful some of these things would be in a defense situation. Because you could still use these for cover to like shoot out of, all that stuff is fine. But I think this is what their kind of best purpose is. Because when you think about it, and at least when I think about it, when we go and look at the same reason why I was trying to use foundations for walls, because they got 3000 HP. Cabins have 3000 HP. Okay. And then when you come and look at something like a medium cabin, still has 3000 HP. Ladder's in the same spot, but it has a longer front. So you can use this to poke out just like the other one. But you have more blind spots on this back section because the extended part from the small cabin, there's a blind spot on this. There's not really much that you can do about that. I mean, you can still use it for defense, but it's going to take up the same sort of area. So the whole thing though is that if you're going to use these, I think you use them as either a tower like this to defend your base, or you use them as makeshift walls. So if we come and we take, let's just go ahead and build a couple of these real quick. I don't know exactly how many it takes for the medium cabin off the top of my head. I'm thinking 6. Okay. So you have this now. Like if we take a wall, for instance, if we take a wall, okay, this is how I'm saying that you should probably use the cabin. All right, you put your door here, maybe 2 doors if you want. Make it an airlock. I don't care. But that window can be used to defend your door, and the other window can be used to shoot in the front of your base. But let's say that we upgrade these. So boom. Okay, so now it's 600. 1,000, 1,800. That looks pretty dope. I like that. And then you get cement, which still looks good. So this was 2,300, and it takes a smaller space. Okay, so that's the benefit of upgrading your wall because you get a much heftier wall. But you can see, I mean, this is going to take 3 toolboxes just to upgrade it the first time and all those extra supplies. That's for the bob wire, which is what I'm looking for. I'm going to get bob wire for mine. And then here, it's going to take 3 more toolboxes and then bolts and metal. So, I mean, this one wouldn't be too hard to get. Okay, so, I mean, that's not terrible, but I don't like the look of it. And then you need 21 toolboxes. It looks like stone or something going on there. You need a pipe or some sort of tool. You need a can. Looks like mortar mix and bricks. So this next one is pretty hefty in material cost. I mean, it's getting up there. It's gonna take you a while to do this. Okay, it doesn't look bad. I mean, it's gonna take you a while to get to that, especially as a solo player. And then you need 21 toolboxes again, another can, all this scrap metal's not hard, but you need all the same sort of materials as you did before, plus more toolboxes. So I mean, these two are going to be in the same boat, but you get a really nice gate. All right, you get 2,200 or so HP, and then you got your doors. So you're gonna have to have your double door and then stick that in there. And you're gonna have to upgrade all your doors. Kind of like the look of that one. All right. All right. But you can see this is still going strong. You don't need anything. You don't have to put walls around your cabin because you can't go underneath there. But you can shoot out from underneath this. And what you could do is you put your walls behind it. You would use your wall sections and fence in the cabin area. You might think, why would you do that? It's because you don't need to defend the cabin. Okay. So you can see that has a flat section right there, and this has a deal there. But I don't think that the medium cabin is good for a guard tower. But I do think the medium cabin has a very large flat side. It would have been enough, but I guess it wasn't. Maybe it's a 3 by 3. It might need more space, long ways. Yeah. It looks like a 3 by 3. So you come over here and then you do. We can do better than that. All right. So you do something like this. Now, what you're seeing is something that's just as strong as a cement wall, right? 3,000 HP. You can't get in. The only downside to this is that there's a ladder on the backside. So then the question becomes, how do you defend the ladder? So you have a guard entrance right there for a guard door that protects your main gate. You have a ladder that goes up. Then you have your entrance here, which you could put loot in because it has two doors, but it's on the exterior of your wall. So why would you really want to do that? And then you just come over here and you can build another little 4x4 section, or you can put walls or whatever you want over here, and then build you another little cabin. Yep. You could build one like this, which is just big enough to block off the outside from getting to this ladder, you know? Or you can turn it a different direction if you want. You could even extend this up a little bit if you wanted to, and then block it off and make a staggered zone. So you can see it's big enough to slide over right there, right? Can in fact slide it over far enough to block this off. And it still allows use of the ladder on the inside. This is now 3,000 HP wall layer that they have to go through. It's basically a concrete wall, but you have to go through this whole section. The only difference is that it's a building. It's going to take a lot of uh, logs to build this. Okay, let's look at the medium one real quick. Takes a lot of logs and takes a lot of scrap, but not very many toolboxes compared to a cement wall, right? So you can build it like this to block that off, or extend the section out, and you could bring the cabin part out if you wanted to, out to here, but you would block off the entrance point. You can even fit this way if you wanted to, but not a big deal. And then if you want to go for another medium cabin, extend it forward like that, and then extend it over, you know? Now, you would have to stagger your base significantly. You could do this and block off that ladder with this building, and then this ladder with the next building, and then you build everything over there, and then when people come in, they're gonna have 15 cabins that they're gonna have to figure out which is which, what's in what, because everything's gonna have a door. Ooh, shoot. Everything's gonna be locked. This allows your guard tower to still get up here, and it gives you a bit bigger area to fire down on, even though there's only one spot that can kind of hit that. The only weak point to this is that there's no real way to put it on the other side. You can't really put the log cabin facing the other direction. You can pretty much fit these pretty close together all the way around. No one's going to be able to get through. Um, and here, I mean, it basically just turns into a wall. This is where your buildings would be. But you can build something that has 3000 HP without a whole bunch of toolboxes and stuff pretty easily at the beginning of the game. And then if you don't care about the gap so much, you can place the cabins side to side and block that ladder off, but you'd have a bigger gap in between the two buildings. So you can make a flatter section that's solid just out of log cabin like this. It'll just look like a big wall. So that is something that you can use, especially, it is functional because you're going to be able to use the log cabin as storage and you're going to be able to use it for defense. So I mean it does function pretty well, because this right here, put this cabin facing this way, you would block the door, right? But it would still be a wall, but it's still going to take 2 to 3 C4 to get through. And this is kind of like the end game. Like eventually when I build a big base, I'm going to do this to where I have the log cabins as my exterior wall, I believe. Because, someone blows up one cabin and gets inside your wall layer, they have this door, this door, this door, this door. There's so many doors, and it's not pointless doors. Okay, this could, if you had a large tribe, each of these could be somebody's room. So it's not completely pointless, and there'd be a bunch of doors. Um, and it doesn't look terrible. Like you look at it and you're like, okay. But this is a completely wood base, completely wooden. It's gonna have 3000 HP walls. Like, get some C4 real quick. I don't think I can really deal as much damage. My own walls, but you see, like you can't really place it too awfully far apart. See if these do any differing amounts of damage, because I don't really think that you can damage a foundation underneath anyway. All right, so that's one C4. Okay, it's done about a quarter health to this gate, about half health to the door, little almost 60% or so there, and then this cabin took 20% or so, and the foundation took nothing. And this is part of the reason why I'm putting things on top of my foundations right now. Is because the foundations from underneath don't really take much, if any, damage. So they have to get the C4 on the ledge damage the foundation. You can see like that didn't take much damage compared to this wall. Okay, so let's do another C4. So this door is pretty much already almost gone. This wall is holding in there, but it's basically gone. So it's going to be about 3C4 for that. And the cabin is almost gone now, so there is that as well. The only thing I could say about the cabin method is that it's going to take a lot more space than a concrete wall will. It's the only real downside. Okay, so concrete wall completely gone, log cabin hanging in there. So it's taken one extra C4 compared to everything else so far. And see, like to place this up here, you have to get it on the ledge if you want to place the C4 and blow it up here. You have to find a spot on the ledge that's big enough for that. So the only ledge spot over here is right here. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this. But we're gonna blow it up on top of the foundation because I believe on top of the foundation, it's gonna damage the foundation. If the foundation breaks, the cabins break. Right? Interesting that these fell down. So this is where the first cabin was. This is where the second cabin was. But there's a glitch or something where if a foundation or a cabin is destroyed, it destroys everything else. But you see this right here? This has no damage. This one almost destroyed with one C4. So these foundations are weak for C4 up on the top, but underneath don't really take much, if any, damage at all. So you got to protect the tops of this, which is part of the reason we have palisades on ours. But people can still get up there and place the C4. But if you put a cabin there, they can't. So the third layer of defense for my top base when we get to that point is going to be a log cabin blockade. It's going to be a wall just to sheerly stop anything from coming in made out of log cabins. And if a lock picker gets in there, there's going to be about 20, 30 doors he's going to have to lock pick, okay? If a demolitions person gets in there, there's going to be basically just a log cabin wall, and then he's going to have to lock pick. So it's not going to take him as long to break in, but it's still going to take him, a couple of C4 to get in there and destroy the actual log cabin. So I believe, if we end up putting the log cabin on a foundation and just want to see what's in here. That's not good. My guy can't fight at all. Jeez. So what exactly is in here? I'm seeing what, crates? Okay. Military hat, head sack. Not sure if this is worth it. Someone told me it was a weapons plant. So, I mean, it could have good loot there. The main point, though, is that from our base that we can build a raft and sail up there and see what happens to drop. Maybe without being seen. We'll have to see. Probably will be seen, if we're going to be honest. Okay. So let's see if we can make a log cabin wall real quick. The only thing I could really say about any of it is if you build a base with log cabin walls, you're probably going to want to use the bigger buildings because they have a bigger footprint compared to like the size. So like this is a 2x4, this is a 3x3, I think. This is I don't know what, but let's look at the crafting materials, okay? 30, 15, 10, 10. 50, 30, 20, 10. 100, 50, 30, 10. But it has a bigger footprint. It's gonna take the same amount of damage to destroy this building, but it is the same footprint. The same sort of defense. If you actually use the building, right? But like, I guess we're just gonna try and build it here. So I think the medium is a 3x3. We can kind of check it here, and we can see if the foundations take more or less damage ground level. So that is a 2x3. Let's check if this fits on there. Okay, it does not seem to be. So you need a 3x3 for the medium. Now the question becomes, how big of a space do you need for this? Okay, so you can build this on the 3x3. So it's the same footprint as the medium, but it's taller, is what it looks like. So this may be good for stopping people from throwing grenades or something over your wall. It's pretty tall. It's going to be the tallest thing that you can build. That's the only reason I could see building this. So like if we do this real quick, it doesn't have any benefit from the second story. Okay, there's no benefit there. The windows seem to be a little bit more boarded up. But here you have the two doors from the medium, and then you have an upstairs, which literally isn't of any real importance. There's not anything major here that matters. The only thing I could see is using this for a booby trap to kill somebody. That's about it. Okay, so we know this takes a 3 by 3 now, and it's the same as the medium. So we built that, and we need to now defend from this. Here's something I could say about this compared to the medium. If you are using a medium cabin and someone gets to your ladder, they can use that to jump into other places of your base, probably. With a large cabin, they'll probably die. That might be the benefit here. Just gonna go ahead and put down a bed. Just go ahead and put down a bed. Matter. Just put it down right there, and then we need to set fame points, and let's do it. Okay, that's not bad at all. What was it? C1 from jumping off of that. Okay. Uh, let's see real quick if we raise up the foundations, how much damage that we can get off of this. We're gonna need an axe. Where are we even at right now? We're in a field over here. Not as bad as an area to build as I would have thought. I didn't really consider this when I was building stuff, but it doesn't seem terrible. If you were able to do something like this and raise it off of the ground, I feel like you're gonna have a lot more damage drop off having it directly on the ground. Let's do this. And we can try and protect the edge of this with palisades, but we already seen that if you destroy a foundation, it destroys the building. So raising the foundation up could be a big deal. Actually, let's get a C4 real quick. So if we take a C4 and we're able to get on top of the foundation and arm it, just see what happens. That is pathetic. So you basically have to raise your foundation, or you have to put your building on the outside lip. There's no way. So you saw before, like the weak point to our palisades was that the building, or they're able to jump up and place something on the edge of the foundation. Now with this, should be able to put it right against the edge, ideally. I don't think that's close enough. You want something that's going to be pretty much impossible. That right there, you're not able to jump up. You'd have to have a vehicle to get close, and that's what I'm looking for. Even the base that I'm at right now is not tall enough to do that. Right. So it's not close enough to this side to stop it. And it looks like 1C4 is enough. So it looks like rotate it sideways. Yeah. So it looks like you'd have to be very finicky to get this all the way to the edge so that they can't do that. That is a definitely an issue here. Definitely an issue. I'm not do like that though. That seems interesting. I like that. That's a way to maybe get up somewhere you're not supposed to. Okay, so let's see if you jump off of this building with it elevated, if you take any extra damage. A little bit, not much. Not really anything significant there, so I don't really think that matters. Foundations are just so weak from the top. Like if you put the bomb underneath this, you usually take no damage. See? So it all becomes a game of protecting the edge. You have to raise it up. You have to raise it up. You have to put your building on it. Then you have to figure out how to keep anyone from putting anything on the edge of the platform. And at that point, you have a very, very indestructible base. So you basically have to space out the building enough to where you can put something like this on the edge. Or something small on the edge that can't be moved. Let's take a medium cabin real quick. This is like the top tier of the top tier that you'd want to use. So us see. We still got this slip here, but medium cabin seems to get close, like really close to the back. I think someone would have a very difficult time here. Let's see. Do that. Not seeing any way to get that on there. All right, so we didn't get it close enough to this side, but you already saw it's not able to get onto the lip. So at that point, you're not going to be able to get any of these onto the side of the building. It's not going to do any damage. See if it does any to the foundation there. Same damage as before, I'm pretty sure. Nothing there. I think this is the foundation damage, and I don't think it took any extra from earlier. Let's take 2C4. Okay. So now you see how powerful that is, all right? But it does take a lot of finesse to get that to work. But you should be able to do that with the level 1 cabin, as far as I know. Because if we take a cabin, let's say we took a log cabin, we can do a test here real quick. Wooden cabin. Okay, a wooden cabin. Close as we can get. All right. So if we do that, we're not able to place it anywhere on the lip of the foundation. Okay, but you can place it here, and that's going to be the weak point. We're going to test this out with this being ground level, and then we're going to basically take this out one. And then from here, we're going to build a second log cabin. Now, the weak point here is the gap in between cabins. You got 3,000 HP for the lowest possible price that you could get, and you're able to completely seal off this. They have to go through this. Let C4 go. I will see if they'll take any damage ground level. Okay, so the foundation will take damage at ground level. But if you build a wall like this, it means that the weak spot is going to be at the end. It's going to be the gap in between the buildings and at the end. That was about as close as you could possibly build the two buildings together right there. Um, but you can see even taking out one foundation takes out every cabin. So they can instantaneously destroy your whole base. Okay. So you'd basically do something like that. And then you're going to do something like this. You're gonna stick these as close as you can get. All right. They can't put it in the lip, but they can put it in this gap. And that will be the weak point. So the question will become, how can you get, actually, can't. You can't stick it in the gap. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. I need to tell all my friends. But thanks for watching this video. Okay, we just solidified why we can make an immortal base right here. So this is good. This is very good. So thanks for watching, and I will get back to you as fast as I can with the follow up on this. We will try and make an invincible base somewhere on the map. Okay. All right.